Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are reviewing the world's best-selling hyperpigmentation treatment. A serum which is getting a lot of hype online, with people referring to it as a game changer, better than hydroquinone, and like the ultimate when it comes to fading dark spots and discoloration. What they don't tell you is a lot of these sales are actually based on the tens of millions of dollars which the brand has plowed into sponsorships and paid partnerships with the world's biggest content creators. You can't open up your YouTube feed, your Instagram, or your TikTok without seeing ads and paid partnerships for the La Roche-Posay Mela B3 Serum. It's really difficult to find a sponsorship-free video, so I thought let's turn that on its head today. This is a sponsorship-free, unbiased assessment of this serum, so we can work out, is this really as good as the paid hype implies, and is there a space for it in our skincare routine? Sit back, relax, let's talk the La Roche-Posay Mela B3 Serum. Now, before we get into this video, I would love to know what your own hot take is on this product. Give me a like your La Roche-Posay Mela B3 before and after stories in the comment section below. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't tried this product because La Roche-Posay are not a cruelty-free brand, and I refuse to spend even a penny or a cent of my hard-earned coin on brands that still test on animals. That for me is the deal breaker, but I appreciate it isn't for everyone. Now, whilst I usually only and exclusively show cruelty-free brands and products here on the channel, I sometimes make an exception, which I'm doing in this case, because I think with so much sponsorship and paid partnership online, there's a lot of people that might rush into buying this product, and I want to give an unsponsored opinion up front so that if you are tempted, you kind of know both sides of the story, the paid partnership side and the unsponsored, unbiased side too, which is why you're seeing it on the channel today. If you want to continue to support me as an entirely sponsorship-free content creator, the best way of doing that is by reaching down and giving this video a big thumbs up and a like. Lots of brands reach out on a day-to-day basis offering coin in exchange for reviews, and I always turn them down because for me, I just think it helps me to retain my independence and integrity. So the best way of supporting me to continue to do that, like I say, is giving the video a thumbs up and a like. Now, with all that out of the way, let's cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So in today's video, I've split it apart into different sections. First up, we're going to talk about what the product is and what it actually delivers. We're then going to come on to some real world experiences that people have shared with me of the results that they've got having used this product. I'm then going to share with you my pros, cons, and we're going to summarize it all at the end. At the end, I do also have a cheeky little derm-approved alternative to this if you're looking to shop cruelty-free, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now, let's start with what exactly this product is. So the La Roche-Posay company say that the Mela B3 serum uses a patented and trademarked ingredient known as melasyl to deliver next level hyperpigmentation fading. For this serum, you get 30 mils, and it costs roughly around £50 here in the UK, which is around $60 in the US. That, I think, is certainly up there when it comes to the price point, something we'll talk about later on in the video. But unlike a lot of the different hyperpigmentation ingredients that you'll see on the market, this melasyl actually works subtly different. Instead of reducing tyrosinase, which is an enzyme within the skin that can lead to excess pigment production, it works differently to kind of work on various different pathways to that hyperpigmentation emerging. So they say, La Roche-Posay say, it's a much more comprehensive ingredient when it comes to fading hyperpigmentation, and it works on every single form of it. Now, this is something a lot of people don't realize, is hyperpigmentation is like a blanket term, but there's lots of different forms of it that sit beneath it. You might have post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, often as a result of acne marks and scarring. You might have melasma, you might have dark spots, discoloration. There's a lots of different terms used. Hyperpigmentation is like the blanket phrase, and of course underneath that, different ingredients will work differently on different forms. The Roche-Posay group says the great thing about melasyl is it works on all of them. No matter your skin type, your skin tone, this will get to work on giving you a more even complexion. Obviously, that's music to my ears because anything that simplifies skincare has to be a good thing. However, I think they then take it a step further to say it's hands down the best hyperpigmentation ingredient on skincare planet Earth, even better than hydroquinone, which is often known as the gold standard. I've got some thoughts on that. Again, we'll unpick that later on in the video. But they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in promoting this with a lot of the biggest influencers here on YouTube, over on TikTok and Instagram. That hype has obviously led to it being a bestseller, but I think when we come to some of the real world examples, often people have been left a little bit disappointed because maybe that hype has led to unrealistic expectations. Alongside that melasyl, which is like the star ingredient, you also have a decent concentration of niacinamide, which again is proven to help fade hyperpigmentation at the margins, and you've got retinol palmitate. Not my favourite retinoid, but it will at the margins increase cell turnover, which again will help fade any existing hyperpigmentation. The La Roche-Posay is owned by the L'Oreal Group, which have the trademark over this melasyl. So if you want to get your hands on this ingredient, it will, for the foreseeable future, only be available from brands owned by the L'Oreal Group, who they said spent 18 years perfecting and honing in on this individual compound melasyl that they think is going to give these game-changing results. I will say what you want about the L'Oreal Group, they definitely do a lot when it comes to spending on research and development, and this is nice to have something innovative in the skincare market. So I've asked around all of my skincare friends to say this is a bestseller. You all must have tried this. And honestly, very few have. It surprised me how few people had actually tried this, considering it's been out for the past 6 months and is #1 on the hyperpigmentation bestsellers list. But the few who have tried it said that they enjoyed the serum, they liked the texture, the lightweight feel, and they didn't have any issues with sensitivity and irritation. All big ticks in the box, because often hyperpigmentation serums can be quite irritating on the skin, not with this one. However, I think the universal opinion was that whilst it worked, I don't know a single person out there that said it didn't at least deliver some benefit. They said that often they were expecting a little bit more. And I think that comes back to this paid for hype, often exaggerating expectations, leading them to be unrealistic. So when you try it, you put it through its paces, the results, whilst okay, will never be able to live up to that hype. And I think perhaps La Roche-Posay have fallen foul a little bit of hyping up unrealistic expectations. But like I say, university people said they got some good results when it came to fading hyperpigmentation, but nothing as groundbreaking as maybe La Roche-Posay were leading people to believe. So when it comes to the pros and cons, I am not the biggest fan of La Roche-Posay. I don't use them in my own skincare routine because they're not cruelty-free. But I do always like to start with any of these reviews with the positives first. With a lot going on in the world, let's start with the positives first. So I mentioned earlier, I like the fact that the La Roche-Posay Group and the L'Oreal Group that own them has spent a lot of money on research and development. Whilst if you don't want to shop L'Oreal, you're not going to be able to get your hands on this melasyl for about 10 years till that trademark expires. It's nice that eventually, the skincare community will benefit when that trademark expires and other brands can formulate with it. There is a history, especially with La Roche-Posay as a group, really leading the way when it comes to research and development, and that is nice to see. I really, really appreciate that online they've used realistic, untouched before and after pictures. This should be the standard when it comes to skincare brands, but unfortunately it's not. I'll leave an image of them here. You can see these haven't been touched. These are actually realistic before and afters. And brands, they're shady. They'll use different lighting for the after to make the results look better, and they haven't done that here. I really want to applaud La Roche-Posay for being honest with their before and after pictures. That is really good to see. And I think these before and afters really reflect what my friends said in terms of the results that they got. Marginal improvement, nothing groundbreaking, but some marginal improvement. And that's reflected in these before and afters, which, is great to see. I also like to see that they've released their studies and the data that they're using to back up some of their claims. Now, I will say, these studies have been paid for by the brand, which does always lead to a little bit of bias. And I don't think one study funded by a brand can replace, decades worth of peer-reviewed scientific studies. But definitely nice to see that the research that they've done into this, they have actually published. So it's free if anyone does want to check it out. It's definitely good. And that transparency I do love to see with the brand. So again, it's nice that they're doing that to allow us to kind of make our own assessment on it. Finally, I'm not the biggest fan of La Roche-Posay serums because their formulations to me are quite lazy. They often have drying alcohols, lots of fragrance, colorants, and lots of bulking ingredients in there too. But I think this being their latest launch, they've definitely learned from their previous experiences because they've taken out all the drying alcohol, the fragrance, the potential irritants, all the bulking agents. And I think the formulation of this one is hands down the best of all the La Roche-Posay serums. So for me, I like the fact that a brand is willing to learn by their previous mistakes and actually come up with something that I think is going to be better and kinder to our skin in the long term than their other serums, which, let's be honest, are garbage. Something I covered in a recent video, which I'll leave a link to up there. So those are the positives. For me, I feel that the negatives do outweigh them slightly, but again, sound off in the comment section below when you've watched to this point and let me know your thoughts. So the negatives for me are that the La Roche-Posay group are owned by the L'Oreal group. So the L'Oreal group, they're not the good guys in skincare. For years and years and years, there's been various, reasons why people have been choosing not to shop with the L'Oreal group. They were huge advocates and promoters of animal testing back in the day. They were one of the biggest brands to lobby against the European Union introduction of a ban on animal testing. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't think that makes them the good guys in the skincare world. And they've got a very shady and checkered past. Again, I'll leave you guys to read up on that and make your own assessments. But the L'Oreal group, like I say, not the good guys in skincare, I don't think. So it's worth bearing in mind, if you're avoiding the L'Oreal group, then you also need to avoid La Roche-Posay. Because anything you buy from La Roche-Posay will ultimately end up in the coffers, in the cash registers of the L'Oreal group. So that's just how these multinational organizations work. So definitely worth bearing that in mind, depending, of course, what your views are on L'Oreal. I also think the big and bold claim by La Roche-Posay that the Mela B3 Serum is clinically proven to be more effective than hydroquinone is a bit dubious, because again, one study paid for and funded by a brand can't replace decades worth of investment in studies and understanding of hydroquinone, which is in a lot of places a prescription only treatment, which is often termed to be the gold standard in fading hyperpigmentation. Now, of course, hydroquinone doesn't work for everyone and it can have quite a few side effects, but I think, based on one study just saying, yeah, melasyl better than everything else out there, is for me a little bit misleading and again leading to unrealistic expectations when you actually come to use the product. I've suffered with hyperpigmentation for years as a result of my adult acne, and I know through trial and error that the best way of tackling it isn't with one ingredient like melasyl, one ingredient based serums. It's actually with multiple different actives. You need to be using them and layering them, pairing them together to get the best results. One ingredient, one serum will never cut it when it comes to hyperpigmentation. I like to use multiple, such as alpha arbutin. I like to use vitamin C's, my retinoids. I like to use kojic acid. All together in the correct skincare routine, layered and paired, that's going to give you the best results. And whilst I think melasyl will complement that and be one of those great ingredients that can deliver it, just to say on its own it's enough, I don't think it's going to be. And I think that's reflected in the anecdotal feedback that people have said, this serum works, but it's not groundbreaking. Used in conjunction with other things, I think is where the secret's going to lie. So personally, I wouldn't throw out your whole skincare routine and just replace it with this. I think, using it in conjunction rather than exclusively, it is kind of going to give you the best results. Finally, let's talk price point. £50, $60 for a serum? That's a lot. And I know inflation's happened. I've not lived in a bubble. I know the price of everything has gone up, but I think there's an element of price gouging here. It doesn't need to be this expensive, and I certainly don't think it's actually worth it for that price point. Personally, just my opinions. You can disagree, but for me, I think there are other things I've tried that have worked really well on my hyperpigmentation that are just that little bit cheaper, in some cases, completely drugstore unaffordable. So yeah, I think, if it's within your budget and you want to try it, that's one thing, but I certainly wouldn't blow your budget or stretch to reach for this. I don't think personally it's worth the £50 price point. Those are just my thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and I would, of course, love to hear yours. Now, I promised and teased that I would offer what I think is a better and cruelty-free alternative to this one. It actually comes from the Dr. Shireen Idriss skincare line. Now, Dr. Shireen Idriss is a board-certified dermatologist, so if you love the dermatologist-approved, backed ethos from La Roche-Posay, then absolutely you're getting the same with the Dr. Shireen Idriss line, and her major fade line is honestly great. I'm talking specifically about the serum, which actually uses multiple different actives to target hyperpigmentation, which for me is going to be far more effective than just relying on the melasyl in the Mela B3 serum. I love the major fade line, particularly that serum, which I think is a similar price point. It's cruelty-free, it's dermatologist-backed. In fact, it's formulated by a dermatologist, and I just think offers a far better profile of ingredients. Now, I'm going to leave a link to that in the description box below if you did want to check it out. I think hyperpigmentation is best treated with multiple actives. That's the major fade line. I think the La Roche-Posay Mela B3 in isolation probably isn't going to give you everything you need. Like I say, just my thoughts and opinions, but that's the recommendation that I would make as a cruelty-free dupe that's not a dissimilar price point either. If you'd like to know some more affordable drugstore hyperpigmentation treatments, I covered all my favorites in a recent video, which I'm going to leave a link to up there. Definitely one to follow on from when you finish watching this video. But I would love to know, what are your thoughts, feelings, and honest opinions when it comes to La Roche-Posay and the Mela B3 Serum? Have you tried it? Did you love it? Or are you a little bit skeptical about the paid partnerships and the amount of hype that's receiving? Sound off in the comment section below. And wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.